All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on what it really takes to fly. We all just get on the plane, but behind all that, there's this massive, incredibly detailed plan that makes the whole thing work. So let's dive in and deconstruct that unseen plan.
I mean, think about it. Ever wonder what it actually takes to get from, say, London to New York? For us, as passengers, it seems pretty simple, right? You board, you fly, you land. But that smooth ride, that's the result of this incredible symphony of calculation that starts way, way before the engines even spool up. And yeah, we're not just talking about pulling out a map and drawing a straight line. Nope. This is a full-blown blueprint, a really, really detailed plan that has to account for physics, regulations, the weather, you name it, it's in there.
This quote really nails it. Every flight is a solution to a massive, multivariable equation that's solved before the wheels ever leave the ground. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into. A flight isn't just a trip. It's the answer to an unbelievably complex problem. So let's start breaking that problem down.
Okay, first up, part one, more than just a map. We're talking about the invisible highways of the sky.
So you can't just fly wherever you want. Pilots are constantly juggling all of these things. They're navigating these designated airways, think of them like highways in the sky. They're calculating the absolute minimum altitude to safely clear mountains and terrain. They're avoiding restricted airspace and other obstacles, and all the while they have to follow specific flight rules like VFR or IFR and try to use the wind to their advantage, not let it fight them the whole way.
And here's a key concept that is just fundamental to safety: MOCA, the minimum obstruction clearance altitude. Now, this isn't a guideline, it is a hard rule. For every single leg of a journey, there's a published minimum altitude that guarantees you're at least 1,000 feet above anything you could possibly hit. It's a non-negotiable safety buffer built right into the plan.
And these rules can get incredibly specific. It's not just about, clearing a mountain range out in the middle of nowhere. If you're flying VFR over a city, you have to stay at least 1,000 feet above the tallest building within about a 600-meter radius. It creates this safety bubble around the plane. Every single part of the flight is covered by these kinds of precise safety rules.
All right, so we've got our path, but how does the plane actually move along it? This is where it gets really interesting, because it's not just about pointing the plane in the right direction. It's about the math of motion, juggling speed, wind, and time. Let's get into it.
Okay, put yourself in the cockpit for a second. Air traffic control comes on the radio and gives you this instruction. You need to be at a specific waypoint 570 nautical miles away at an exact time. Oh, and by the way, you've got a 52-knot headwind pushing right against you. This isn't a do-your-best kind of thing. The whole air traffic system relies on you being predictable. So what do?
Well, you do the math, and you do it fast. First, you figure out the ground speed you need to hit that arrival time. But remember that headwind? It's slowing you down over the ground. So to compensate, you have to physically fly faster through the air. That's your true airspeed. Then, you convert that number into a Mach number, your speed relative to the speed of sound. So you can adjust the engines with total precision. And this kind of calculation, it's happening all the time.
And it's not just about your forward speed. The wind is rarely coming straight at you. That's where the wind correction angle, or WCA, comes in. To actually fly a straight line over the ground, pilots almost always have to aim the nose of the plane slightly into the wind. They're basically crabbing sideways through the sky. The flight plan has to account for this constant adjustment from the get-go.
Okay, we've got a route, we know how to manage our speed, but none of that matters without the most critical resource on board: fuel. And trust me, planning for fuel is a whole science in itself. It is way more complicated than just filling up the tank. See, the fuel you need to just get to your destination, that's just the beginning. That's your trip fuel. On top of that, you're carrying contingency fuel, usually about 5% for any unexpected delays. Then you've got alternate fuel. That's enough fuel to fly to a completely different airport if your original destination is, say, fogged in. And even after all of that, you're required to land with what's called a final reserve, which is enough fuel to circle for another 30 to 45 minutes. So every flight has these multiple layers of fuel safety built right in. And all of that extra fuel has weight, a lot of weight. This table kind of breaks it down. You've got the plane itself, the payload, that's us and our bags, and then all those different layers of fuel we just talked about. It all adds up to the final takeoff mass. And that number is absolutely critical. It affects everything from how fast you need to go to take off to how well the plane can climb. The fuel plan and the weight plan are totally connected. So we've planned the route, the speed, the fuel. Now, how do you communicate all of that to the people managing the sky?
It all gets packed into one single standardized document, the ICAO flight plan. This thing is basically the official blueprint for the flight. It's a coded summary of everything we've just covered. With a quick glance, air traffic control knows who you are, what kind of plane you're in, where you're going, how fast, how high, and what kind of nav equipment you have on board. It's literally the flight's entire DNA on a single page. Let's just zoom in on one tiny detail here, the wake turbulence category. It's just a single letter, H for heavy, M for medium, or L for light. But that one letter tells air traffic control how much swirling, turbulent air your plane leaves behind it. For a smaller plane, flying through the wake of a heavy jet is like a tiny boat getting hit by the wake from a cruise ship. So that one letter is crucial for making sure planes are spaced out safely. And here's another great example of how precise this is. The speed they put on the flight plan, it's not the speed you see on the dial in front of you, and it's not your speed over the ground. It is that true airspeed we talked about earlier, the plane's actual speed through the air mass. And the format is standardized right down to the number of digits. Total precision.
So the plan is filed. Everyone has it. But what happens when, things don't go exactly to plan? A really good flight plan isn't just a rigid set of instructions. It's designed to adapt. The plan is a living, breathing thing.
Yeah, from the second the wheels leave the ground, that flight plan becomes the baseline. The pilots, the dispatchers, the controllers, they are all constantly monitoring the flight's progress against that plan. They're checking fuel burn, timing, position. The planning process really doesn't stop until the plane is safely parked at the gate.
So when do you have to officially update the plan mid-flight? Well, there are specific triggers. If your destination airport suddenly closes, you obviously need a new plan. If you're burning through fuel faster than you thought you would, you gotta replan. And check out how precise this gets. If your arrival time is off by just 3 minutes, or your true airspeed changes by more than 5%, you have to tell ATC and amend the plan.
That 5% number, I just love that. It really shows you the level of accuracy and predictability the entire air traffic system is built on. A tiny bit of deviation is fine. It's expected. But any more than that, and you have to report it. Because that little change can create a ripple effect across the whole network.
So the next time you're on a flight and it lands right on the dot, you'll know it wasn't just luck. It wasn't just a simple hop from A to B. It was the successful solution to that massive, complex equation we've been talking about, a puzzle that was solved on the ground and then constantly rechecked and resolved in the air. That's the unseen plan that makes our incredible world of modern air travel even possible.